started drinking smaller coffees now so that I can have more.
Okay, I think we are live.
Yeah, I see the
On
light.
your end, we are live. Hello, everybody.
Yeah.
Yay! We're just gonna go nuts and not tell you why we're here today.
Why are we here today, Karrie?
Well, welcome to Coffee Talk. That's number one. We can't sit out in a cafe, so we're coming online to meet in the world's best cafe, Coach K's Cafe, online. And here we go. So, hi, everybody. Coach K, I'm your personal adventure coach, as you can see in the background. And I'm so pumped and excited today for bringing on this guest. And the great thing about this guest is he lives in my hometown. This is Emilio Jose Garcia. He lives in Kitchener Waterloo. Yes. Kitchener.
Yes.
My,
KW.
my birthplace. And he's from my favorite city in the world. Where is
Barcelona.
Barcelona, Catalonia Express. And yes, the two cities all packed into one. That's Emilio right here. But,
hi, guys. Happy to be live with you.
And Emilio and I are in the same coaching container. And the great thing about being coaches is I love the diversity of the type of coaches in the container. And it's so good because I have a certain thing that I do. And if someone comes to me and they're looking for something specific, to do with decluttering or organization, then this is your man. And if someone comes to me and they want to talk about Tantra or something else, then Dominique is your girl from last week. And that's why I bring new people on every week. But he is the master of decluttering. And so let's dive right in. Emilio, how long have you been helping people declutter their lives on an individual basis, on a company basis, on a family basis? How long? Tell us a little bit more about what you do.
So officially, I started my business, KW Professional Organizers, back in 2012. But before that, I found myself doing this a lot, and I didn't even know that this was a career that I could choose to do. It just came naturally to me to just help people feel better in their physical spaces, eliminate the frustrations that they were experiencing, and just create a surrounding that is more inviting and appealing for the lifestyle that you want to live. So I would say that all my life I've been very interested in optimizing spaces and optimizing everything that is around me. But officially I started in 2012, like actually going to people's homes. And since then I have been in over 300 homes one-on-one with my partner Samantha and wife together, helping them create the spaces that they needed and eliminate that clutter that was holding them back.
So give me an example of how was it holding them back? So once you went in there, decluttered, what changed in their life? What have you seen as a pattern? Like how does it affect the other areas of their life once they declutter?
See, it's interesting, very interesting question. Majority of the times they contact us when they are on a crisis mode, and that's the truth. Majority of the times people are hitting a lot of pain, they're feeling very frustrated, they are very overwhelmed, they don't know how to get started. A lot of people have tried their best to do it themselves, but they just can't find a way to get it done. And a lot of times there is a lot of emotional attachment to the things, to the belongings. So when they start going through them, that emotional aspect is so huge that it's blocking them. They need that support. They need someone to help them go through that emotional attachment, go through that feeling that they are experiencing at that moment. And that's holding them back in the way that they can perform their best. They can, maybe they go to their home office as it's full of papers, the desk, they cannot sit there, they cannot do the tasks that they want to be doing. Maybe they go to the kitchen and it's not functional, they cannot cook the food that they want to be cooking. Maybe they are paying late fees because they cannot find the bills on time. And everything kind of escalates to the point that they feel like, I need to do something about this, I need help. And that's when they reach out. And then that's when we come inside, and then we listen to what they have to say. We try to understand the frustrations. We try to understand what is that future bright uh, lifestyle that they want to live. Like, if we could snap fingers and finish a space, what is it? How does it look like? How do you feel in it? What are the activities you want to be doing? And then from there, we start to actually do the decluttering and organizing.
So that's incredible. So you're there with them going through the stuff, but you're able to do it at probably record speed.
Yeah, after doing it for so long, I can tell you that the first times we made a lot of mistakes. Of course, we were trying to, like, the first time we started doing paper, and that was a huge mistake because paper takes forever. And the visual impact that you see after a few hours of doing paper is pretty much nothing. So we learned the hard way that starting with paper, it wasn't a good idea. And then after doing this over and over, we started to develop a system, a process, a method. And then now we are consistently being successful, helping people like create that space that they want to see, sometimes in a matter of hours. It's pretty amazing to see the transformation that they can create with us once they know what they need and what they want.
So you could go into a home for a day, let's say 6 hours, and completely, would you say you could completely get everything done within a day? Depending on
I wouldn't say the whole house. What we always do, we always ask, once we understand the frustrations and the pains that they are experiencing, we always ask, what is the space that you can benefit the most from right now? Which one is it? And for some people, it's the kitchen. They want to feel better. They want to eat better. That's where they gather and they want to start there. Some other people is the bedroom. They want to sleep well. They want to relax at the end of the day. For some people, is the living room. Some people is the basement. So once they choose the space, we can make a huge impact in sessions of 5 to 8 hours. We have done a lot of them where we can transform one space, just one. It depends on the amount of things that they have. It depends on how fast they can make decisions about things. So the truth is that they need to be ready for this. They need to be ready for the change, and they need to be willing to make those decisions and to get a little bit uncomfortable to make sure that they get that end result. So that's why we do the screening, and we know when we can work with someone, and we know when we cannot, because we can sense if they are ready, and we can sense if this change will be too much for them or if they can handle it.
Yeah, so it's really a combination of like coaching. It is coaching along with decluttering, because I'm sure emotions come up for your clients at, or like you said, attachment at the time. And it must be a gift for them to be able to deal with it at the same time. They get rid of the clutter, but are you walking them through, or let me just ask you, does stuff come up, or do they get emotional? Do you see them crying? Do you see them, you know what I mean? Like what do you see in your clients?
Everything from a single mom that suffered from abuse, for example, from her ex-husband, and she couldn't do the basement, or she couldn't do a specific room because when we started going through things that belonged to him, she just needed space to cry, and so that was one example. For example, when there is someone that when there is a death, for example, and people are facing those emotional things from that loved person, there is a lot of emotional attachment to that. A lot of the times we invest a lot of money in something like something to do gymnastics at home, or maybe we invest in a very expensive toy that we don't use. So there is a lot of guilt, a lot of embarrassment, a lot of I didn't do anything with this, I'm worthless. And then people are very hard on themselves sometimes, and they just need someone to give them permission. They just need someone that is able to hold space and time for them to grieve, to digest those emotions that are showing up. That's why it's so important, and that's why so many times our sessions, as you say, are coaching plus mentoring plus doing the actual physical work. But if we don't combine those things, so many times we wouldn't be able to create the impact that they need, because just touching the physical things wouldn't be enough. There has to be a deeper layer there. A lot of people have defined us as, you are my therapist at home. We are not therapists by any means, but we work with a lot of people that they go to their therapist, but their therapist never comes to their home. When we go to their home, we are stepping into where they live, and we can see very clearly habits, routines, how they manage spaces. There is a huge reflection on how they feel, how they function mentally and emotionally. And we can, from our experience now, after seeing so many homes, we can tell from seeing the space and from asking a few questions why things are happening, how that person is feeling, and how we can start the process specifically for that person on the most efficient way and in the way that can be the most helpful for that specific person.
You're a magic man, I tell you. Now, because I truly think what you have is incredible, and so many people are in need of that, but maybe they just can't physically say it or ask for help, but that's just what they need. What's coming to mind is, for example, with myself and my partner, we are the same. We like to have a lot of stuff around.
Mm-hmm.
It gives us a warm feeling. It suits the room. So here in Austria, it looks sort of like a mountain hut. It's got things on the wall. It's kind of rustic. Yeah. But someone else might come in and say, that's chaotic, or, but it works for us because we get compliments, people saying, it's so warm and cozy in here. Oh, feels so welcoming and warm. And then there was another woman here in Innsbruck. I went to her home, and she is a entrepreneur, like she lives on her own. And I go in her home, there's nothing in there. There's not a drop of, you wouldn't think anyone lives there. And I go in there and you could say that's clean, but I didn't feel good in there. But that's her style. She feels good in sterile. And like she has the most cluttered thing is the book beside her bed. You know, everything's clear, not one thing out of place. And I don't feel for me, I don't feel comfortable in a place like that. And actually, when her personality kind of met, her personality kind of matched what I saw and felt in her home. But you had mentioned to me before, it's more about how we feel in it, right? It's more, so if I'm in this space and I feel cluttery and I feel anxious around, then I have to do something about it, right?
Absolutely. So for you, Karrie, and for everybody who is watching this or listening to this, This is not about someone else. This is all about you. Right. And that's the first thing that we always do with people, always asking, there is no right or wrong here. This is your space. Let's make it amazing for you. And that means something completely different for every individual. There is no judgment here. Sometimes, as you say, we walk into someone's office and it looks messy from the outside, but when I ask that person, how do you feel here? Great. How do you function here? Great. Can you find everything when you need it? Yes. Do you have any frustrations? No. So why are we here? Because my wife told me that it's messy. Well, guess what? Your wife is no one to tell you, unless they share the space, that's a different story. When there is a shared space, then you have to find boundaries. But as you are saying, everybody has their own way of decorating the space, their own way of functioning in that space, and needs are different for every individual. And there is a lot of whys and a lot of deeper reasons of why you feel well with things and why other people may need empty spaces. There is no right or wrong here. It's whatever makes you feel well and whatever you can create so that you can do the activities and you can feel this the way that you want to feel in that space. That's why it's so important to not try to like create a system of follow something to the T, because you need to listen to yourself. You need to understand what is it that you want, why, and just create that in your space. It's your space. Do whatever you want with it. And as long as you don't feel frustrated, as long as you can operate and function and feel well in it, it doesn't matter how it looks like.
Yeah. Amen to that. How did you get interested in this? What happened in your life that turned you in this direction? Like, what were you doing before organization? What were you doing before you started this?
I wasn't doing anything related. My dad was a carpenter.
Mm-hmm.
So we did a lot of renovations, and I saw myself very excited when I was able to create things like shelves and to optimize the space physically by adding like new homes, new spaces to hold the things that people needed in the most efficient way. So I will say that was an entry point for me, just to I was very aware of how I was feeling in my own space. And I was aware that when things were not in place, I didn't feel well. So I had the ability to now create a better space for myself. And then I started doing that for family members. I started doing that for friends. And just seeing someone suffering, seeing someone like being frustrated. And then if I had the ability and the skills to like help them, I always felt compelled to do it, right? And I had the tools, I had the skills. Let's just make this better. What do you need? You like books? Let's just create a bookshelf here for you. Or let's just, so that started like that. And then I was traveling around the world for like 4 years, and I was doing couch surfing. That's basically people open their homes and you can stay for free. And it's like an exchange, a cultural exchange. We cook together, we explore the city together, we have great conversations. And I found myself like several times, actually, I was giving back by helping them declutter and organize their spaces. And
I love that story. I love that.
I didn't know that was a thing, right? But I was just doing it. It just flew through me. I don't know why. I just felt compelled to do it and to just make the space better. And then when I left, I felt really well. And that person was so happy. So when I arrived to Canada, I started offering the physical aspect, like making the space better, installing things, helping people move into new places and finishing all the touches that they couldn't do, like hanging curtains, stuff like that, right? And then the more houses I went into, I started to notice that a lot of people had a lot of stuff that didn't make sense in places that didn't make sense. And I was noticing that people were anxious, a little bit stressed. And then my partner and I started to talk like, I think there is a theme going on here that we didn't know it was so common, right? So we started helping a couple of people and then started sharing those stories that you can find them on my YouTube channel and on our blog. And then you can see the before, the after. And then once we started sharing, like a lot of people started to contact us because they saw themselves reflected in that. It's like, I am feeling overwhelmed. I have a lot of shit that I don't need. That's how they define it. I need to clean up my garage. I need to like streamline my life. I need to. So they started to like send us messages with what was bothering them. And you can find that in the About Us page, we kind of put a few of the things that they told us. And it's the common theme from hundreds of people who reached out. And that's their words, how they feel. I feel overwhelmed. I want to create the home that I deserve. I am tired of wasting time looking for things. I want to move on with important things in life. So many things that it's like, wow, like there is a theme here and we tapped into something. And this is not just one demographic. This is like, we work with people from all over the place, people who are very successful, who have their own companies, and they are a little bit embarrassed that they need this kind of help, but they didn't have maybe in their lives when they were growing up, someone, a role model to teach them how to do these things, the basics of life, maintaining your space, maintaining your time, maintaining your finances, your wellness and your meal planning. Those are the basics that we all have to deal with. So many people didn't have the opportunity to learn those things, right? and they feel that they should know how to do those things, but they just can't do them. And they are so hard on themselves because they feel that I should know how to do this. This is ridiculous, but they feel a lot of shame. But by seeing those client stories, by people that we work with being vulnerable and allowing us to share their story and content, a lot of people resonated with that, and a lot of people say, hey, I need help too, and I'm happy to step in and get the help that I need because I can't do it myself.
Wow. If you were to give, so a typical situation, if you were to give, because I know in this time, you're probably considering doing this now online, you know, like
Absolutely.
and you can still do a good job through online decluttering a home, even not being there, correct?
Absolutely. And we created online courses like 4 years ago. And I can tell you that we have almost 10,000 students in over 130 countries. One of the best-selling course that we have is called How to Declutter and Organize Any Space. And that's the best seller in all those countries, and countries that I can't even pronounce. People are taking that content. So that proves that this is something international. This is something that is happening worldwide. A lot of people are struggling with those things. A lot of people are seeking for information, for tips, for education. Marie Kondo is a great example. She brought a few books and she sold millions and millions of copies in all countries around the world. And she's one of the biggest advocates for our industry in showing people how important it is to become aware of how your home is a basic human need. It is a basic human need, and if you don't feel well in it, it's going to affect your mental health, your emotional health, and your well-being.
Emilio, what would be 2 tips you could give to people that are kind of in a mountain of, for example, they feel themselves procrastinating on doing any of that other stuff? What are 2 tips that you can give for people to at least start? At least this is even prior to when they would start working with you, but just how can they feel better right now? Like, I'm amongst all this here. What can I do to ground myself now and at least take 1 step forward?
The entry point that is the easiest one is always becoming aware of your frustrations. When are you feeling frustrated? When? What are you doing? In what space? What's going on? That's going to help you understand where to get started, because that's going to look different for everybody. We always ask about frustrations because for some people, frustrations is, I hate going to the kitchen, trying to cook and not being able to find things. Guess what? If they share that with me, and I ask frustrations in general in your entire home, and that's what came out for them, guess where we are gonna get started, right? And the process always looks the same. The first thing that we do is define what do you love about that space and what do you hate about that space? What's causing you the frustrations? That's the first thing, becoming aware of that. The second one is trying to visualize and define what is it that you want to see. Like, try to close your eyes and define, how does it look like if it's finished? How do you feel? What are you doing in that space? What activities? And then the third step is decluttering. You need to, once you have that clarity in mind of what you want to create, you need to declutter. And this is the biggest mistake that people do. They don't declutter. They start organizing. They start trying to find homes for the things that they don't need, things that is not serving them, things that are not facilitating the lifestyle that they decided they wanted to have. That's why we always start by there. And then when we declutter with them, always ask yourself, pick an item and say, what is this for? Is this helping me create the lifestyle that I just said I wanted? Is this helping me facilitate the activities that I just said I wanted to do here? And if it's a no, you have to let it go, or you have to put it somewhere else. It doesn't belong there. So the decluttering first, always first. and then the organizing happens after. So those are the steps that I recommend everybody to follow. And this is coming after me helping over 300 people one-on-one. And guess, trust me, I have tried different approaches and I haven't been as successful as using always this recipe, because it's not about me. It's not about what I want to see. It's not about what I want to create or what I feel is good for them. It's about extracting from them what they want.
Yeah.
Giving them the ownership of deciding that, and then holding their hands through the process of creating that.
That's beautifully said. Honoring what they want to create.
It's all about them.
Space.
Exactly.
So it's not you saying this and this and this. It's you helping, you being the space that they can say what they want. Right?
Yeah, exactly. For example, one quick example of a person I helped, a woman I helped about with her clothes. She was struggling for over 2 years, 2 full years, having a bedroom that was cluttered with things, and she tried her best, but she couldn't get it organized, and it was affecting her mental health, because every time she went to rest, to sleep, to disconnect from the day, she couldn't, because she was sitting on her bed looking around, and it was a constant reminder of things to do, things to deal with, chaos around her, and she was suffering. She couldn't sleep. So when we started working together, the first thing I told her is like, okay, you have a problem here of having too many clothes and too little of a wardrobe. So there is that imbalance. So you have to define, before we even get started touching anything, I want you to tell me what is it that you want. I want you to create a piece of paper and tell me how many pair of pants do you need? How many pair of t-shirts do you need? Why? And then she had to take the ownership of saying, okay, I need 5 pair of working pants. She works at a store and she needs a specific outfit for that store. So she needs 5 of those because she does laundry once a week. So 5 outfits is enough to get her through the week. And then I need this many for casual, this many for summer. So she defined that, she created a list, and then guess what happened? She started doing the decluttering, and then the decision making is not overwhelming anymore because she was looking at the list. And I always told her, start with the things that you love the most. Just pick the top 10 pair of pants, the top 10 t-shirts, and then you can keep going with the rest after. In 2 days, she finished her room after being 2 years stuck, not being able to move forward. So that's just one example of how powerful this can be. And it's so simple.
It's isn't everything though? You come back to simple, but when we look at everything all at once, then we don't even want to start. But
it's very overwhelming.
Yeah, you're like, okay, well, do I start over there? But if you don't, like you said, it's just like anything, if you don't have a plan, then, or a general, what's my outcome, then you're kind of directionless. You don't know, okay, well, I'll keep that because I bought it 10 years ago. I've never worn it, but I paid $200 for it, so I should keep it.
And that's when we start diving into, we will ask, okay, how is this serving you for the new reality that you want to create for yourself? How is this going to help you get there? And it's not about me deciding, it's they have to come up with the answer, right? Yeah. And then sometimes we go into a rabbit hole that it's necessary because they need to grieve that. They need to grieve that feeling. They need to allow for that feeling and emotion to go through them, understanding, digest it, and then let it go. And if that doesn't happen, that item is gonna always be there. And anytime they look at it, it's gonna bring that back and it's gonna be unresolved.
Interesting. Very interesting.
And when you multiply that by 1, 5, 10, a lot of things around you that are constantly reminding you of guilt, purchases that you didn't use, stuff that you don't need, things that you need to take to someone, that's piling up, and then you can't relax because you are constantly thinking about, I'm not done, I can't relax, I have to finish all these things. Yeah. I don't know how to. And then it's like this cycle that never ends.
Wow, this is powerful stuff. What you do is powerful stuff. So we're going to put your info here on the live video above. and anybody from KW, but actually anybody from overall, because it doesn't matter, right? In this day and time, it doesn't matter where you are, but you can still get the same support to have you take the hardest step as the first step, right? Is asking for help with it.
It's the mindset, it's the awareness,
I'm going to ask you a question here. I have my magic cards.
Ooh, I like it.
Magic cards. Just pick a number between 1 and 12.
6.
Okay. How do you hope to leave your mark on the world?
How do I hope to live?
How do you hope to leave your mark on the world? How do you want to affect the world? How do you want to impact the world?
I want to reach millions of people with my content. And that content is going to come in the form of online courses, books, and just stuff that when I leave this planet, it's going to be still there. And it's going to be inspiring stories from people who have gone through the process. It's going to be everything that I learn. I want to be able to leave it behind me so that someone else can enjoy and benefit from it. So that's the mark that I am working towards. And so far I have reached 10,000 people, but I want to reach millions with the content. That's the mark I would like to leave behind me.
Incredible. Let's move with that one, baby.
Yeah, let's make it happen.
Make it happen. So we close it off with just a little bit of dancing. Baby, baby, no music in the background. But Emilio, I thank you for bringing your heart and soul here. You're an amazing human. That's why I asked you to be on here. I could feel it right away. And you're impacting lots. And you're from my city. Well, you live in my city. So
Small world.
Yes. So like we said, we're going to put in some info above here. And if anybody has any specific questions, write them under the live video, or we will have a personal contact you can reach as well.
And there is a lot of free content that I create. Happy to point people into the right direction if they have any questions. Probably I have created some video or something that they can read or watch or something.
Yes, everybody. Fantastic. Thank you. Have a fantastic Tuesday. Emilio, we're going to see you this week as well. On the other side.
Adios.
Adios. Adios. Bye, everybody.